right. Well, thank you, Dr. D. Welcome to the Providers, Properties, and Performance podcast.
It's great to be here. Thanks for the invite, Trisha.
Well, I'm excited to interview you because you're obviously very passionate about treating and educating patients on having healthy, beautiful smiles in your practice. So, what initiated you to open a private practice, luxury dentistry, New York City?
So the term luxury dentistry was let's make this a more luxurious experience. Going to the dentist, usually somebody's not thinking of luxury. They're more thinking like, oh man, I have to do this again. It's been 6 months. What's he going to find? What's going to happen? So adding that term and actually doing things that make somebody feel like, hey, I'm going to be going to a spa or I'm doing something luxurious, it already calms the person down. They're not really feeling that fear factor as much, and that was the thought process.
Well, you must have patients that come to you at first and, their mouths are, closed because they're embarrassed about their smile. They have an issue with their teeth. And then post treatment, you've changed their lives so much that they're able to smile and feel good about the health of their teeth.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's what I live for, those moments. And the memories of first meeting somebody and they seem shy, timid, and they're not showing their teeth, even though that's what they're here for. And then coming back for a post-op visit when everything's all said and done. And it's not just their smile that looks great, but their whole demeanor changes. Their whole confidence kind of picks up a whole notch. And I actually wrote a book recently. I collaborated with 9 other cosmetic dentists from around the country. And my chapter is about smile makeovers and the use of dental veneers. And I share some of those stories similar to what you're asking, as far as changing somebody's
Life.
inner confidence and therefore their life, everything that comes with it, from marriages to getting jobs to all these stories that flood in year after year. And it makes me want to continuously do what I do and do it better and more innovative and a more luxurious way.
Well, speaking about your book, I mean, the amount of education that you know, you, you provide in the book, and then also your blog, and you try to educate people on the what habits or things that they do that may contribute to poor oral health. Nail biting, foods, drinks, teeth grinding. So, what goals did you have to take in your dentistry practice to get to this next level? Of becoming a thought leader in the industry, committing to making your patients' lives better, you know, instead of just, treating a patient, you're educating them, you're taking it to the next step, and you're trying to not only educate the patient that you're treating, but, I would say other, just in general about the benefits of oral health and what you can offer to help somebody have a better smile.
So a big part of it is kind of always breaking out of the box that I was trained in, right? When you're trained as a dentist, we're all trained pretty much the same. Some schools better than others. Some, you'll do more procedures and more advanced things in some schools than others, but we're only dealing with a few years of training. And if you stay in that box of being a dentist, uh, you're kind of stuck and you will just treat things as you see it. My whole thinking is learning new things, even if it is so new that you can't pick up a textbook and read about it yet. Rather, you have to do your own research and you have to look at their own white papers and you have to get your own extra training and spend your time, which is money, right,
Right.
on learning all these new things and then incorporating that into what you know and what you learned. And now you're at the next level, but you can't stop there. You got to keep going. And all of a sudden you have like so many different things under your toolbox that you're able to use, not just for treatments, but for prevention. You're also able to educate people on newer things out there, things that I did not learn, a decade plus ago, because you have to continuously learn, get your hands wet, and keep going.
Absolutely. Well, you have a wide range of services, from teeth cleaning to TMJ to veneers and implants, but you seem to offer some state-of-the-art aesthetic treatments. So what is something that your practice is offering that's exciting to you right now, or something new that you're offering the market?
So I'm always looking for things that will make a patient's experience all that much better. Two is in cosmetic dentistry, I'm always looking for things that are not hyper focusing on teeth. You think dentist, you think teeth. I'm thinking beauty of a smile. If you think beauty of a smile, somebody could have nice teeth, but that's not the beauty. The beauty is everything about the smile. So when you smile, your face creases, your cheeks should be going up, your lips should be a certain relationship of the upper lip to lower lip. So the framing of the smile is almost as important as the teeth themselves. So one of the really exciting technologies that we brought into the office this past year is called Evoke. And what Evoke is a non-invasive facelift using bipolar radio frequency. It's a hands-free device. So dentists, practitioners are not all over you, especially during these times with COVID-19. And you're sitting with this device and you're literally stimulating collagen and elastin that's going to raise up the gels, right? So obviously the framing of the smile just looks better and younger. We also have one that targets right under the smile, which is the submental, or that double chin area, where we can actually melt the fat with this bipolar radio frequency.
That's awesome.
Non-invasive, no downtime. It's amazing.
Someone can come on their lunch hour.
That's what it's targeted for. Exactly right. It's 20 minutes for the face, 45 minutes front of the chin, easily fits into a lunch hour. And because there's no downtime and it's non-invasive, you could go right back to whatever it was you're doing before lunch.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I want to spend a little bit on a time coming into my world, a little bit of real estate, and why you chose your location, and just so that those of us that are not familiar with Manhattan, there is a large concentration of healthcare services on this Upper East Side, because of there's two obviously very well-known hospitals. But why did you select this location to access your patients?
So I love Manhattan in general. New York City's, I was brought up in Brooklyn in a borough, but it was always such a pleasure to come into Manhattan. I was trained in Manhattan as a dentist. I went to undergrad in the city, and I got to see all different neighborhoods, and every neighborhood has its pulse and its beat. It's been shut down now, but still there, just a little quieter.
Yeah.
Upper East Side, the reason why I chose that out of all the neighborhoods that exist is the calm nature of the Upper East Side. When you walk the streets, you're seeing families, some younger families, some more established. You're not seeing many gatherings or the screaming that you might hear in New York City. Less taxi drivers are honking their cars. And what I felt was that's an area of calmness that you could translate from outside. When somebody's walking from outside into the office, they're going to come in feeling already calm. They're not in Midtown. There aren't hundreds and hundreds of people that you're trying to get around to get into the office. That's why I chose the area.
And so, in being in Manhattan versus maybe a more traditional suburban area of some more physicians, what strategy were you thinking for, still locating on the island of Manhattan?
So Manhattan is pretty remarkable on the density of people per block. So yes, there are so many physicians, dentists, dermatologists, the works of healthcare workers, but there's also so many people. So what I always say is, in the beautiful building that we're a part of on 75th Street, if I only had that one building, that would be my patient base for my lifetime and my practice. I'm lucky enough to have patients from all over the city,
Right.
as well as New Jersey, Pennsylvania. I have a bunch of patients that come from Los Angeles. But Manhattan, it feeds you patients, and everybody is so unique and different. And that's what's so exciting, is that every day, they're my patients, I know them already, but the mix of people that walk through my door, it's enlightening, and I love it.
Well, just so for the real estate folks that listen to this, this location, you're just west of the northwest corner of 75th and First Avenue, and it's right next to actual couple condo. I mean, you're in a neighborhood in the city, and so do you own or lease this location?
So I lease the location.
Yeah, I figured there's not a lot of places to buy in Manhattan.
Correct. Though things are changing. I'm starting to get these emails coming in that I never got before, things opening up as people are leaving, which is interesting because I just signed my next 10-year lease right before the pandemic. I was like, but
Well,
but
Manhattan's not going anywhere. It's just, everyone's dealing with the constraints of this situation, but it's not going anywhere.
it's
And
not going.
and one of the things you mentioned, which I wanted to touch on, your practice serves people, as you said, from everywhere, and for out of town guests that can't drive there, they have to fly. I believe something that you offer that's unique is this kind of like outer town or full service concierge package. What inspired you to offer that?
So as the practice was growing, people were referring over their friends, family from out of New York. It was pretty remarkable. I never thought I would be able to attract somebody from more than an hour away. Because as New Yorkers, everything's about convenience and time. And to get on a plane to come over and
Yeah.
work around the schedule so they could see Dr. D, it was very interesting. But as that was happening, we started to make some connections with hotels in the Upper East Side. I advertised in some of their brochures that they give to their patients from out of town as well. But when somebody would call and they needed help as far as where should they stay, not only were they told where to stay, we actually had connections with the concierge, and it gave them a sense of luxury in a way, and they also calm. They're not just coming into the dentist, but they actually have a place that knows the dentist and is familiar with me. And then the staff is just always there to help, whether it's to give them where to eat and where to go and what you could see in the neighborhood while they're here doing their treatment. So that's our kind of concierge out of town way that we handle those patients.
Well, I think it's unique. I don't know how many other practices offer something like that. So I think that's helpful. Is there a particular story that you want to share about a patient that came in? Obviously, not a lot of deep, but your care, like they came in with a certain problem and the care that you took them through, and that made you, just something special.
Sure. Let's say about 2 months ago, I just finished a case. It took a year. This young guy, 31 years old, great personality, good looking. He had a pretty cool job. It was in the film industry, but he was one of those people that would cover his mouth like this when he was talking, and it wasn't just because of the aesthetics. He had disease. He had oral disease. A lot of cavities, gum issues, and it was neglect from when he was younger. He was never really taught, about proper preventative measures. And he also thought that dentists were for emergencies. All right, so when a tooth needed to come out, that's when he would see a dentist. So it was an educating a patient basically from the beginning, right? From what a toothbrush is, what bad foods could do, what dentistry could do for you, how that works, and tooth by tooth to a complete smile, 1 year. And he obviously doesn't cover his mouth anymore, but he had everything already, but now he had that ability to just like smile freely. And his words to me at the end of the treatment is, he's like, I will never allow my mouth to go backwards. And I understand that I have to keep working on this. Otherwise, all the work you did, and I appreciate it so much, is going to be for naught. And I'm not going to let that happen to your work, Dr. D. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. Because that's the most important part, is that, I could do great work. Thankfully, I work really hard at it, but it takes more than that. You could build a beautiful building with beautiful apartments, but if the foundation is not upkept or done right, it will collapse.
Well, a lot of people, they, as you said, they only go to the dentist when there's a problem, and I don't think people are aware of how the soft tissue in your mouth, is so important to keep healthy and prevent so many diseases. I mean, before the practice of dentistry, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, the life expectancy was a lot less because of the oral, diseases people caught in the soft tissues of their mouth.
That's correct. So there's a huge correlation of oral health and overall systemic health. And a lot of the stuff has just come out in the past 10, 15 years, with real research of correlations and retrospective studies. But I mean, we're talking about everything from diabetes, cardiovascular disease, dementia is a big one. Those who have teeth problems are not eating properly, the nutrition is not there, and there's actually a correlation with dementia and Alzheimer's for those that are not, haven't taken care of their mouth and have succumbed to some of those oral diseases. So prevention is so key to keep that mouth, that gateway to the body, as healthy as possible, so that your whole body is as healthy as possible.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, this is the part of the interview where we kind of get to know you a little bit. Um, so, I, when did you know you wanted to become a dentist?
So I was lucky enough to grow up with a father who was a cosmetic dentist. So I knew the craft from just seeing it up close. Also, my first job was working at that office, doing some of the dental laboratory work in his office basement in Brooklyn, New York. So very hands-on, but still at that point, didn't know I wanted to be a dentist. I knew I wanted to help people. I knew that I wanted to do something in the scope of science and health because that's something that I always gravitated towards in school. It's what I excelled in. Don't ask me a math equation, but ask me any scientific fact or fiction. Pretty good with that. It was in the middle of undergraduate school. I was doing a research study, a very boring one on leaves and how much chlorophyll there was in it. And I would have to look under a slide and we would mutate it. And I'm not even sure the purpose of the study. But I was doing that and I was sitting there and all my friends were skiing because it was during vacation. But when you're working in the lab in college, they don't really let you out. And and I'm sitting there and counting my little buds on the leaf. And I said, why am I taking this route of pre-med, which is what I was doing? Like, I grew up in a family, I know cosmetic dentistry. I'm going to start studying for the dental admission test. And on that day, I picked up I went to Kaplan, which is like a study prep, and I signed up for the course. A few weeks later, took that dental admissions test, thankfully did very well. And then I was still in undergrad, but I applied to NYU Dental School early because I heard that they sometimes will allow you to bypass your completion of undergrad. And that's what I did. I went straight from my third year of undergrad and I went right into the dental school. And all of a sudden, there I was. I was on my path to becoming a dentist.
Oh, that's a great story. Is there anything you think you could be doing for a living other than being a dental provider? Or?
At this point, it's hard. It's really hard. I'm so invested in becoming better and better at my craft that I can't imagine doing anything else. But if I had to think, if my path took me in a different way, it would definitely be still in a health and wellness profession where I could help people. I could help people in the long run, not just a quick fix. But I'm not sure.
Well, and that's okay. I mean, I think if you know what you want to do, and you're good at it, that's the best. That's the best path. And you seem to be helping a ton of people. I love looking at all your success stories that you have. Who are you reading or listening to right now for news, information, or inspiration?
The biggest inspiration right now is trying not to read the news
That's
and
a
not
common
not
answer.
to listen to too many commentators because it's just driving me mad. My stress level just goes, I try to keep everything even Steven. And once I start reading or listening, and it could be from either side of the, two worlds that are going on, they just both enrage me in a way. So I'm trying to do more of, self meditation time where I'm not listening. I used to try to read everything. I would read the Times and journal cover to cover. Those days have kind of been put on pause for a little bit, and instead I would just sit. I would look out the window, watch the leaves blow around, and then get back to work.
Yeah. No, I totally hear you. Um, so, what is one thing you do every day for healthy self care?
So I would say trying to find those precious moments. I'm a husband of an amazing wife and a father of two amazing children. Just finding the time and giving them the proper attention so I could get the love back from
Yeah.
them. And that's really been keeping me sane during the past 6, 7 months. My kids feel the pressure just like I do because they see the world is different and changing. And my wife is going through this as a nurse practitioner at Northwell LIJ. So just finding those moments to just say, hey, we're a family and we're still there for each other. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world as long as we have each other.
Yeah.
That's been really great for I think my mental health and for my overall health.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and then one last question. So, do you think a person is born with a desire to heal, or is it learned only through training?
I think everybody would love to heal, right? We all want to help somebody. We want to heal them. We just don't know how to many times. So the want, I believe everybody has this want. I think when you're trained properly, you then can start to actually heal people in different ways, right? In medicine, all of a sudden you could heal their bodies, and as you get better at it, it only comes with year after year after year, and as I said earlier, innovating and changing with the times and taking the newer technologies, you become more addicted to it. It's not just a want; you need it. You need it, and when we have our vacations, and I go away for a week during the year, towards the end, I need to be in the office. The best day is that Monday I come back and somebody comes in the morning, they're like, where were you? This tooth is, and I'm like, I got this, right? And all of a sudden they walk out and they're like, oh, I could chew again, and everything's back to normal. And that feeds me. I'm like, okay, bring in the next. Let's do this. So healing is addicting, but the want, I think everybody has the want to heal.
Oh, that's a great answer. And then, so describe a patient that should come to see you. And you can describe a few. It's kind of an open-ended question.
Yeah, so our patient base is a holistic approach to the smile. So it's prevention all the way through smile makeovers to more reconstruction of certain situations. So the ideal patient is somebody who wants to not have a quick fix, but rather have a whole approach to oral health and oral beauty. So it's a cosmetic general dentistry practice. So we basically do everything, but we have a really big focus on cosmetic dentistry. So we do have patients that come just to redo their smile. They come in either because somebody that they know, a friend, a relative, a coworker had their smile done and they feel super comfortable already, or they've just either read about me, seen me, and that's what they're coming in for. Amazingly, those that live in New York do become my regular patients as well. So, right, so if I do 10 veneers, 20 veneers, I don't say goodbye. I kind of know that I'll probably be seeing them in 6 months, and sure enough, they do. They listen to the education aspect of proper care and how important that is. And I guess who better to go to than the person that kind of redid my mouth. But that's another segment, is those I want straight teeth, brighter teeth, a combination of the two. And lastly is our patients that are looking for something a little new, a little better, and always innovating. So, whether it's laser dentistry where we limit the amount of shots we're giving, we're not using the drill, or if it's the wand, which is basically not giving a shot, but rather just kind of dripping anesthetic. Or if it's the evoke of doing really cool cosmetic work on the face. If it's milling restorations like crowns in the office, you don't have to come back a second time and get another injection. So these are things that we keep adding and we keep building on. So patients that are looking for that, come on in.
And do you treat just adults, or do you do some children as well?
So I do some children. Typically, the age that we start seeing them is about age 9, 10. As long as they are, mature enough and they are behaving, they could definitely come in. To give the overall atmosphere of a luxury dentistry appointment, what we don't want is for the adult patients in the other rooms having to hear us try to sedate a child. But we do have an amazing pediatric dentist down the block from us that we refer to, and they send their patients over to us once they get to that age where they're not seeing the pediatric dentist anymore.
No, I was actually thinking not as a traditional pediatric dentist, of course. And I have two kids too. I would never. I actually haven't brought them to a regular dentist yet, but and they're old enough that they could. But I was thinking if they have a problem that maybe they've tried a couple of dentists and it is like an aesthetic problem that can be treated now and help them later, not have to maybe have some sort of painful operation.
Yeah. So when I do end up seeing younger children, it's almost always a cosmetic situation. So I have other specialists, root canal specialists that send over traumatic situations where a child falls off of a bicycle and they don't have a tooth now in the front and they did an emergency root canal. But meanwhile, the child's like 7, and that's a long period of time before we could do veneers or a crown or anything like that. So they say, "Good luck, Dr. D, here you go." And then my job is to rebuild that tooth and have it work over adolescence, which is the
Right.
hard time to tell a child don't bite into candy because the tooth might break. But they'll send them over because they're looking for a cosmetic dentist, not just somebody that's going to slap something on and have that child go through adolescence not feeling good about their tooth.
Right.
So we'll take the time to build it, as if they were a movie star, and hope, fingers crossed, that it lasts until they're in their late teens, so that we could do more conventional work.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you, Dr. D. This has been a wonderful interview. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.